got information that you don't need it for today, but you're going to need it for the future. And I'm going to go through that here in a bit. I am going to apologize because I am not in my office. So I am working off my laptop and I'm going to have to toggle between screens. So y'all forgive me for my, you're going to see my terrible technology prowess. So, let's see. Amanda, you're on your recording. Perfect. So I think we've got most of y'all on here today. So welcome to the most wonderful part of your job. And that's going to be the task that somebody said, hey, I need you to take care of this. House Bill 1416. I'm going to share my slide. And I will tell you that this, y'all, is not going to be a once and done. We are going to be back together again and again about this, unfortunately, or fortunately. So let me see if this is what I need it to be. Okay. Oh, why does it do that? Okay, can y'all see yourself 14,000 different times? Let me try this again. I don't want you to have to endure that. I'm going to try it again. Let's see. Go back to that. We're going to try this and see. Nope, we're going to try this one and see. Y'all, I'm sorry. I really do know how to do technology most of the time. Nope, that is not what it is supposed to be sharing. Okay. Are y'all still seeing yourself 1,000 times? Or are you seeing the slide deck now?
We've got the slide deck.
Perfect. Yay. Okay. Awesome. Here we go. So, still seeing the slide deck, correct?
Yes.
All right. So House Bill thank you, whoever's answering me. Amanda, thank you. Okay. So House Bill 1416, y'all, is the continuation of House Bill 4545. Last year, some of the rules changed and they've changed again. Surprise, but for the better. So I will, Amanda or Robin, will y'all put this in the chat so everybody has access to it as well? And I will also link it into the invite so that you have it as well. All right, so let's talk about requirements for House Bill 1416. So this is a very fancy flow chart that is honestly the very easiest way for you to see what kids have to have. You guys are going to be worried about 3 content areas because we are just looking at kids that failed reading, math, or science. So you can see on this chart, if students achieved approaches, yay, we don't have to do anything. If they did not, and they failed the same STAR content area for 2 years in a row, they fell at the previous school year. So I'm going down here. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse. If they fail the same STAR content area the previous year, then they need 30 hours of instruction for each content area that they failed up until 2. So if they fail all 3 of them in 5th grade, you are only doing reading and math. Obviously, in 6th and 7th and 8th, you are only worrying about reading and math at this point. If they failed the previous year and they scored in the low did not meet, so for 2 years in a row, they get 30 hours. If they're in the high did not meet, they're going to get 15. Here is my best advice, friends. Just put 30 hours and try to get them as close as you can to 30 hours. And we're going to do a good faith effort this year. Does everybody hear me say that? A good faith effort again this year. Reading and math, we have some things in place that are going to help us. Science for your sixth graders is going to be the bigger one. It's going to be the one that I know that you don't have time built in your schedule for the most part. And quite honestly, I know that you're not as worried about it. But we do have to have a good faith effort, and we'll talk about what that means. And the reason this is all important this year, y'all, is this is part of the PEAMS summer submission. So we have to submit this year which kids got how many hours. And if they got their 30 hours, great. And if they didn't, we have to say why they didn't get their 30 hours. Now, it's not a huge explanation. It can be they didn't show up, they didn't come to the instruction, but we have to do this for each kid because it will go in as part of the PEAMS submission. We did not find out what this form looked like in Frontline in Teams until right at the end of July. You guys were not in a space that you could take that information in, and quite honestly, neither were we. We had to meet with technology to try to figure out how much of this we could take care of for you. And so that's why we're just getting to this now. Another thing, the form has changed. And so I'm not wanting us to get too far ahead of ourselves because the form has changed multiple times. Here are some considerations that I want you to take into account. If a student is enrolled in a TIA teacher's class for that subject area, they do not have to have intervention hours. If they are retained, which we typically don't do in middle school, they don't have to do those hours. Here's a little excitement. For your kids who are double blocked, we are going to count the double block as their reading hours. So if they are in double block, woohoo, we're going to get our hours done during regular class. Parents can opt out of accelerated instruction with written consent. There is not a form letter. I've had several people ask, well, can we just send out a letter to everybody that says, please sign this and not tell them what it's for? It has to be, if they send you an email, I don't want them missing this RTI advisory. I don't want them in this, or I don't want them to have to stay after school, or I don't want them to have to come to summer school. I mean, it's a Saturday school. If they opt out, if a parent opts out, that is an option as well. You have your letter. You remember this from last year. You have your letter home to parents if you have them in a group of greater than 4 to 1. And that is attached in here for you as well. Please try to have parents sign off on that. Great news. We do not have to have those accelerated instruction meetings like we did last year and in years past. Yay, celebration. Because quite honestly, we didn't get them all done anyway. So what the new FAQ says is that each campus has to have an accelerated education plan. What it does not say is it doesn't say that, Laura, give me a minute and I'll answer your question. It does not say that the education plan has to be done for each individual kid. It just says the campus has to have one. So I've made it very easy for you. If you click on this little link right here, it's going to take you to a Google form. You are going to do 3 of these. One for reading, one for math, one for science. And basically what it is your plan for your campus. It can be broad enough. It should be broad enough to encompass everything. So what subject area? Describe your plan. If your plan is we are going to use our advisory to provide intervention, great. If you don't have an advisory, but you have Irons has Taco Tuesday, if that's what they're using, put it in there. If you're going to do Saturday school, after school, and intervention advisory time or Taco Tuesday, put that in there. If you have double blocked reading, you can put in there, we have double blocked reading, so they're going to get it as part of their reading time. You can make it as generic as you need to for each one of your content areas. Who's going to provide it? This is multiple. If it's all three of these things, click them all. When and how often, and is it before, during, or after school? When you click submit on this, these documents are going to go straight into your folder. So you have a folder that Carrie shared with you that has several items in it. One of them will be these, or three of them will be the 3 plans. Once you're done with that, you're done with the plan. That way, if we get audited, we have your plan for the campus. That's all that needs to be done because it doesn't say individualized on there. Everybody's good so far? Okay. All right. So what is in your folder? You have 3 things that will be in your folder. First of all, you have a student list. We have pulled from Teams. We had technology pull from Teams a student list of all the kids that failed a test in your building. In that document, and I'm going to show you one here in just a second, it's going to have the kid's name. It's going to have what they failed reading, math, and or science. And then it is going to have some additional information. So I'm going to pull that up. Before I do that, the other thing in your document or in your folder is your spreadsheet that Amanda did for you. And I'm going to let her talk about it in just a little bit in terms of interventionist and tutoring. She shared it with your principal, so you may not all be familiar with it. So I'm going to have her talk through that. It is also in your folder. And then finally, your acceleration plans, when you get those done, they'll be in your folder. So let me share with you real quick, if I can get out of this little slideshow. I don't want to stop sharing. I just want to get out of this, and there we go. Okay, so this is what your document looks like that has your kid information on it. So you can see I've blanked out somebody's. This is a sample. It's got the student's information, the subject, and then it's got the participation code. There are 5 participation codes. This is what's in the PEAMS document. So I'm going to show that to you in a minute too. So if the student is participating in supplemental instruction, then it shows a code 1. It shows the hours assigned, the hours completed, why is there a difference? And then when someone enters this into Teams, they can put the date in here. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But what we have already coded for you, if you scroll down, are a few things. For example, if the child is in reading and they're double blocked, it shows hours assigned. We gave everybody 30 hours. Didn't care if it was 30 or 15. We just put 30 in everybody's. By Christmas, they're going to have completed, if they come to school the majority of the days, they're going to have completed 30. And then we put double block, DB, next to their name. If you scroll down a little bit further, there is another piece that says the kid is assigned to a TIA teacher. That's a code 3. We've already put that in there for you as well. So next to the student, if your student is in a teacher's class that is TIA designated, that is also indicated on here for you as well. Okay, how are we feeling so far on that? So everybody has an individual spreadsheet, and this was pulled as of September 23rd. Now, I recognize that you have kids coming in and out of your building all the time. Let me be clear. We are going to lose children. We are going to miss children. Maybe not lose children. That's a terrible word. We're going to miss children in this. And I know that. We're going to make a good faith effort in documenting their hours. Okay? So you have your your students' information in the spreadsheet. All right. Are we all okay so far? Y'all don't look okay. It's like somebody give me a smile, a thumbs up. Don't flip me off. Just like, okay, we're good. Okay, good. I mean, you can flip me off because I've been dealing with this now. I've been looking at it for like 2 months. And so I know this is your first brush stroke at it, and it's a lot. So as I said, this is part of the PEAM submission in next summer. It has to be completed by the last day of school. That's why we're talking about it now, because we cannot wait until May to try to do this. The form that has to be filled out, y'all, is individualized by student. So it takes a while. That's why we want to try to get cracking on it here pretty soon. And this is why you guys are going to be my new best friends, and y'all are going to be part of the fun House Bill 1416 committee, because this is going to be ongoing. Please know, Kim did not develop this form, nor does she have any control over this form. It is developed by Frontline, and so we're not able to control the format of it. It's getting the information that TEA requires, and it's quite obvious that they didn't talk to a person on a campus when TEA made this decision, just in case you were wondering. So I have in here the click sheets of what it look, or the screenshots of what it looks like. I'm going to go live because it's a lot easier for me to show you what the end product is going to look like. So when you go into Frontline, in your menu of services and your list of menus that you get, you will have one that is called Student Accelerated Instruction. Not only you, if you want your attendance clerk, your registrar, your counseling clerk, if you still have one, whoever is going to be helping enter this information, we are going to get their name from you, and we're going to give them access to this menu. So you will click on this menu, and it will come up and ask for a student's name, because once again, it's individualized. I'm sorry, I'm having to move y'all around because my little menu of your faces is getting in my way. So you'll pick a campus, and I'm going to practice. Nobody, Amanda, right now, Kim has access to this tab, and that's about it. You will get it. But we're going to have you fill out a Google form of who on your campus you want to have it. So I'm going to practice and show y'all with Sadie Callison, who is at Lubbock High. So you put in your school, the student's name, and here is Sadie Callison. You're going to notice that there are tabs across the top that say maintain accelerated instruction in English, in math, in science, and social studies. You're not worrying about social studies. Unfortunately, that's the high school. They have to deal with all 4. Yours is just these 3. And remember, if they fail 3 tests, we do reading and math, and we don't worry about science. They only have to do for 2. Did I say that? Let me repeat that again. If they have failed 3, we're not worrying about science. We are worrying about science, but not for this. We are worrying about reading and math only. So when you go in, let's say at the end of this semester, we have gotten done with a semester of double block reading. You pick your kid who has failed reading, and they will go in and they will click on the date, whatever day it is. We've got reading. These codes don't show up very big on my screen because I'm on my laptop. If I were on my big screen, you would see all the codes. But code 1 is they participated in accelerated instruction. They did because they were in double block. You will not have to do this for double block because it's already going to be done for you. What you will have to do is, let's say math. Let's say your student is on IXL like a beast, and at Christmas, they have been on IXL for 30 hours by Christmas. Then you will go in here, you will click on math, Do the exact same thing. You're going to click on the date, math. You're going to say this student participated. They got their 30 hours. They got their 30 hours. The end date is the end of school or the next day if you want it to be. If there is a difference, this will be at the end of the year. If there's a difference in hours, let's say that Kim only comes to school 12 days and she only gets 17 hours, then you will put a code down here that says, student did not attend these assigned hours. She didn't show up. It's too bad, so sad. Then you hit add. What you will see is at the bottom, do you see how it says at the bottom down here, they participated in math instruction? Can y'all see that? Do I need to go further? Y'all can see it. How many hours they completed and how many and why there's a difference. If they are in a TIA teacher's class, what it will show, and this will already be done for you as well in this form, is they will have the date. Here, they will have a code 3 because code 3 says they do not participate because they have a TIA teacher. That's already going to be done for you, and it's going to be down at the bottom right here. It's going to say student did not participate because they're in a TIA teacher's class. Okay? Then you hit add, and then at the end of the year, when they pull the PEIMS report, then Brooke will give us a list, and you'll be able to double check. I'm going to take this off of Sadie's because she passed math. Does that make sense on this document for the moment? Ish. Okay, I'm going to give you a second because I know it's a lot. So here in your spreadsheet, hang on, I'm moving y'all around again. In your slideshow, I have all the screenshots, but I'm going to put them on one document so they're not quite so crazy for you. So your data, you've got the spreadsheet that's been done for you. There's probably going to be errors in the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is just a place for you to work off of. You know your kids that didn't pass. You have those lists. We just tried to put it in one place for you and then include the double block and the TIA coding as well. You're going to be collecting documentation for the students that don't have a TIA teacher and are not double blocked. And so I'm going to let Amanda talk for just a second about what that looks like. Amanda, do you need me to quit sharing so that you can share?
Yeah, I can pull up one of my spreadsheets and share with everybody.
Okay, let me get out of there so that you can do that.
Okay. Let me pull this up.
I hope you're more adept at it than me.
I've been doing it a lot lately, so maybe.
I know you are.
Okay, and I am just going to pull up the spreadsheet that everything falls into. You have a link, and Aaron, I'm sharing Evan's just because y'all have data. So you have a link on that slide to the tutoring form. It went out in a memo. You have it lots of places. That's what your teachers, your interventionists, anyone who is working with kids for their hours, if they're getting paid for through Title I, after school tutoring or interventionists, they have to use the form. Your teachers who are working with kids, whether they're paid or not, if they're doing 14, 16 hours, then they can use the form as well. It's formatted so that it's good for anybody pulling kids at any time, and it'll tell us what they're doing and when. But once you fill the form in, then this is what it will look like on the spreadsheet that's shared with you. It'll give you the kid's 1000 number and their name, and then it totals by subject every time they get pulled for intervention or tutoring. So it's a running total. Every time you do a new form on a kid, it's going to update their numbers. So you don't have to figure out how many hours they've gotten. If your teachers are using this form, then you can just go to this spreadsheet and it's going to tell you very quickly how many hours they have. Yesterday in the elementary, they asked about being able to filter and sort a little bit, and I haven't played with that. So I'm going to do that a little bit this weekend and see if I can figure that out, and I'll share out some information with you guys about that as I figure it out. But like I said, as long as your teachers are using that form, then everything is totaled for you, and you can see when your kids hit 30 hours, and you can complete the form for them once they're done. Do y'all have any questions about that?
Thank you, Amanda. Yay. Y'all, I know it is not ideal and nobody wants to fill out a form on kids, but this is the way we can track, one, for Amanda's purposes for spending, but also for this, so that you don't have to try to gather that data after the fact. So, and once again, we know it is not the perfect system. I don't know that there is a perfect system, but we will be checking periodically with you to make sure that that we are making progress and that you are checking in on that. Y'all will be I told them yesterday, and y'all have to promise you will not repeat this, but I said I was going to be the Lisa Thompson of 1416, sending y'all emails every day. No, I'm just kidding, but I will let you know once a month, and I would tell Lisa that, so y'all can tell her. But I will send y'all an email probably once a month, just checking in to make sure you're okay with that. Amanda, Felicia had a question. She said, this is not just for students on the list. It will track all students. So any student that they put in there, you don't have to put your double block in there because obviously they're already getting it, but any other student that you need to track, you can put in there. And when Amanda does her reporting for Title I expenditures, she'll be able to pull out, like if teachers put it in and they're during the day, obviously that's not her information for her auditing purposes, but she'll be able to filter. So we wanted it to be one place for y'all to be able to do everything and not multiple places. So that's why it's all together.
Yep.
Okay, how are we feeling so far? I'm like scared to try to get back to my slideshow. So Aaron, go.
What about kids that are in Fundy's math? So they're getting an additional block of math during the day. Does that count? And it's a specialized instruction for that. Does that get to count?
You know what? I am going to have to look at the FAQ. I know before it specifically said no, but I haven't seen it anywhere. And to me, if it's not in that FAQ, we're doing it. So give me a minute and let me look that up at some point this week or this weekend and just read back through all the rules. And if that is the case, then that is additional kids that we can, I would say we can try to code, but y'all, we have been struggling. There's so many different branches in this. It's really hard for Wayne and technology to code all of it. It might be faster. You know, your kids that are in fundamentals, it probably would be faster if we can do it for y'all to just go in and put it in that PEMS report and document the 30 hours like in December after they've been in there for 30 days or even in November. Give us a little bit more time. Right. Josie, you won't have that maintain student and accelerated instruction tab yet. That is what I was going to share. It is the last slide. I'm going to try it again, y'all. Please bear with me. Let's see if Kim can do it. Yay! Okay, just took me a minute. Okay, so Josie had a great question. She didn't have the tab. If you will complete the Google form with it's just 3 questions with the person's name and email of who will be entering it into Teams. If that's you, great. Go ahead and enter your name. If you want to put your attendance clerk, if you want to put your assistant principal, Josie, if you want to put your academic dean, if you have an academic dean, if you are the academic dean, If you need to visit with your principal and say, hey, I'm probably going to need help with this, who can help? You can fill out as many as you need, and then we will give them access to that particular menu. I don't want to blast that menu out to everybody because I'm afraid if we do, we'll have some people messing with it that don't need to mess with it. So, yes, Erin.
I'm sorry. This may be
No,
a
it's all right.
question for later, and I should probably type it, but anyways. I saw when you were coding that it had like student withdrew, something like that. If we've got a kid that moves within the district, should we be just trying to communicate with, like, if I had a kid that moved over to Hutch, do I need to just say, like, this is what we got this covered over here and not code it as withdrew? Or are we just trying to track that as best we can?
And this is the dilemma because this form is stagnant. It doesn't change. And so anything that we put in it, if a kid moves or changes, we have to make those change. So what I'm thinking is if you're at Evans and you get a kid from Hutch, what we need to do is just get that information from Laura on how many hours the kid has, and then we can fill it in. And those will be things that we may have to catch like in March or closer to the end of the year. And y'all, I cannot imagine when I have talked to other districts, because we've asked a lot of questions of other districts and how they're doing this. And we were actually ahead of the game because most other districts don't even have a plan. So we're all trying to muddle through. That's why I said this is really a good faith effort this year. We're going to try to do it the best we can. We've already given feedback to Frontline on some things that we need changed. They just don't move very fast. Oh, and I had something that raced through my brain that I was going to tell you, and I can't think of what it was. Laura, ask me your question. Maybe it'll trigger what I was thinking.
So our acceleration plan forms, I just want to make sure I'm hearing right. Those are the 3 that we do, one for each subject, and those need to be done just soon. Just
whenever. Yeah. You can do them right now.
Yes. And then the front line are by individual students, and that is what is due by the last day.
Yes.
So those first few that like set in the numbers in Frontline, those aren't due anytime soon. That's due when it's all complete and I can put in completed information, correct?
Yes. Yes. We wanted to give it to you now though, so that you could start collecting that hours and see how it has to be put in at the end of the year. So what we'll do is we'll do a big push in probably December. Okay. Have we coded all of our double block kids in that Teams form? Because by Christmas, all of our double block reading kids will have gotten 30 hours. So using that spreadsheet, you can go in. Actually, sorry, double block's going to already be done for you. Sorry. I got too many different situations. But let's say at Christmas, like I said, you have a kid that has 30 hours in IXL. IXL is on the approved list by TEA. So in December, we can look and see how many hours they have. And if they have 30, we put it in. If in April they have 30 hours in IXL, we can put it in. So for you guys that don't have an advisory period, if your teachers are using IXL during their class time too, maybe they've got 10 minutes at the end that they're trying to do some loop back. That will add up and that will count towards their math hours. Yes, Laura, keep asking.
One more, sorry.
No, please don't apologize.
Spreadsheet that Amanda shared with the finances of our Title I teachers. We don't have the funding title-wise to necessarily pay our teachers for intervention. So they have their set tutoring times within their hours of their contract time. So they're not going to be using that form.
No, they can. If you want them to put that in so that you can, that way you don't have to have another spreadsheet. They can fill it in on Amanda's spreadsheet. And as long as they're doing it, like they fill it in, they stay after school for 30 minutes and they tutor kids and they fill it in. We're not paying them, but they're a teacher, then we can filter it out. Does that make sense?
Yes. But what if
they're not
don't like to use forms and they like to use paper? And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with going and getting those papers and checking with them. I don't have to have it in Amanda's sheet necessarily to count it as these hours. Is that correct?
No, but you will need to scan it into that folder that was shared with you, because if we get audited, we need to
Yes.
know when they had those hours done. So if
Perfect.
you're, great question, if you're not going to use Amanda's spreadsheet and you have your own little spreadsheet that your teachers use, that is, they're not getting paid for it, then you just need to upload those. And I would just make a folder in the 1416 folder that says teachers documentation and put it in there.
Something to think about as you're doing that is that because it is part of the PEEM submission, if kids move out of district, it should be part of their TREX, like the number of hours that they completed with you. So if you don't send that in their TREX, that school may be calling and asking for hours. So you just need to be able to get information for that school. So whether you're totaling in the spreadsheet and you're looking at it, or you have some other way, just
Right.
being able to answer that question.
I would highly recommend, Laura. I mean, I know they may not like the Google form, but maybe creating a spreadsheet that is, I don't know, some campuses have done some other spreadsheets that they just kind of have their system, and that's fine. But like Amanda said, if they're doing it on a sheet of paper and they're turning it into you, that's a lot of digging that you could potentially have to do. And so the more you can systematize that, the better.
I agree. I just like to know my options because I don't want a kid to not get their credit due to a teacher being stubborn. Not that we would have that. I'm just saying. So I just like to know my options around.
If that happened, hypothetically, if that happened at another school where people were stubborn.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yes, Miss Erin.
I'm going to Amanda's statement about kids that move out of district.
Mhm.
Is that something that should be like when somebody withdraws, withdraws, should we have our registrar, like we should be automatically going into their system and submitting that
Yes.
before they close out their withdrawal paperwork?
Ideally, yes. I
Okay.
know that we, for the most part, don't have that system in place. Y'all are a little bit easier in terms of, because you have, how many attendance clerks do y'all have, or registrars do y'all have? One or two? One. So if you can train your person to do that, that would be great. Because more and more, because it's part of the PEEM submission, more and more other campuses and districts will be calling because they're going to have to enter it for that kid as well. And
Will they be allowed to have access to this folder? Or will that be something they'll still have to come and ask
the
us? And
attendance
we'll tell
clerk?
them? Mhm.
the attendance clerk, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you need to share it with them, absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I did put on that spreadsheet, y'all, to kind of be thinking about too, is the spreadsheet where we have the kid's name, just your reference spreadsheet. That is, y'all can play with that. You can add to it. You can take away. There might be some mistakes that you need to correct in there. I put a column at the very end that says entered into teams, because you want to be able, whoever enters it into teams needs to put a date on there, just because if you have an attendance clerk that pieces out at Christmas and you don't know what they've put in and what they haven't, or you have a counseling clerk that's helping you, or a TA that has some time, because I know y'all all have that. But you've got somebody that's been working on it and they put it in and don't ever tell anybody they put it in, that's going to be a lot of wasted time. So that's why I added that column on the end, is just a way to keep a system of who's been entered into teams and who hasn't. Because like your double block kids, you can enter them. Well, you won't have to enter them. You can enter kids at any time during the year, but you just need to make sure that you're keeping track of who's been entered and who hasn't. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I need you to do now, so what's up next? Process, think about this. I'm gonna, you have a copy of this in the chat, so that you can refer to it as well. I need you to complete the Google form with the person's names of who you wanting entering that data into Teams. So your name, your attendance clerk, whoever, as many as you need. Start collecting your hours for your kids that aren't in a TIA teacher's class and or aren't double blocked. We're going to make a good faith effort to get as many kids as we can. Complete your acceleration plan forms and they'll drop automatically into your folder. And then we will be sending out, I'll send out an email when you can start putting data in that student accelerated instruction when I have, because we have to have technology add those menus for everybody. So it's going to be a little bit, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not real comfortable with putting a whole lot in there just yet because the form changed 2 days ago. And so I just am worried that if we start right now that the form will change, and if the form changes, we'll lose what we put in. So I may wait a few weeks before I give everybody access to it. So those are next steps.
Josie,
Oh, and there were a couple. Yeah. Go ahead.
Josie had a question about if a student fails 3 subjects, they only need accelerated instruction in 2. We're going to
Correct.
default to reading and to math.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. And if they're double blocked in reading, they're done with their hours in reading, thank goodness. So then we got to work on math. And so that would be if you have advisory time, if you have IXL, those would be things that we can use for that. In addition to, like, if they do an after school tutorial, that's great too. That'll give you some time. Let's talk about science for just a second. So in science, if they fail science, and I'm going to go back to the flow chart, because in science, if they fail, they did not meet approaches grade level. I'm literally going through the spreadsheet, the flow chart, because I have to think about this. They failed the same content area the previous year. Well, they only have to take science in 5th grade. So we only have 1 year of data. So I'm going to jump down to that 3rd blue box. If they were, let's say they only failed math and science or reading and science. They're in a double block reading class, so your reading hours are done. If they are a high did not meet, so they were close to approaches, they technically only need 15 hours. If you want to get that granular with science, go for it. And then you don't have as many hours in science that they have to get. Science is going to be the kicker, y'all, because if we just don't have time in the day to do that. But we're going to do our best. We're going to make a good faith effort. But no, if they failed science and they were a high did not approach, they really only have to get 15 hours. I would not worry about 15 versus 30 on anything else. I'd just go 30 on everything, except for science might save you a little bit of time with your science people. And science can be done. I know a lot of you have done Saturday school in science. You might be able to do after school. I wish there's not an approved program for science yet. And there is not, I know we don't have a lot of time for science, but do your best effort to get those science hours in. All right. I hope, and I'm sure that I've probably overwhelmed you a little bit because it is a lot, and I completely understand that. Oh, you have IXL in science? Oh.
It does exist, and some people have purchased it, I think.
If you purchased IXL in science, yes, we're going to use that as our hours. Yes, ma'am, we sure are. IXL, there's a very limited number of programs that are on the approved list. And IXL is one of them. So yes, Josie, count it. Absolutely. All right. What other questions do you have? Good questions. Laura, the slideshow is in the chat. Did you get it? Okay, good.
And
Yeah,
I put
and I'm
it
happy
in
to-
the calendar invite also.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Amanda. So you can come back to this if you need it. Y'all, Robin, Amanda, and Carrie and I have been the ones, we've been the kind of the core team working on this. So as questions come up, please reach out. Please feel free to reach out. I know it's a lot, but I also know we've got some things in place that hopefully will help y'all in terms of having things automatically coded like TIA and double block. So hopefully that will help a little bit. And I will be in your inbox just reminding you, hey, how we doing? So they don't have to school outside of regular class. Yes, and Teresa, y'all double block math too. And so with some of your kids, and so those kids should be coded double block reading and double block math. And that can count as their time because they're getting outside what the typical block is for reading and math. All right. Any other questions? If you don't have anything else, you are free to go. I can stay on for another 14 minutes because I got to get high school in 14 minutes, but I am yours until then. So thank y'all so much. If you feel good about it, then please holler back at me with whatever questions you might have. We are here. Aaron, what's your question, friend?
I'm sorry. You may have said this. Amanda may have said this. I don't have access in the folder to the intervention. Is that, Amanda, is that your tab? Did y'all say you're going to give it to us at some
If you'll
point?
just hit the share access button, because I don't know who does and doesn't to go into 47 different spreadsheets and start
ma'am.
adding people.
Okay.
Just hit the share access button and then I'll do it as it hits my email.
Perfect. I just didn't know if you may have said you're not allowed to have that yet. So
No, you can have it. Just tell me you need access.
thank you.
And Kim, Teresa had a second question on there.
Yeah, Teresa, let's look at your spreadsheet and see if I need to look at it and see. So your reading and math, because y'all are double blocked, you should be able to, those kids should be done with their time in terms of teams, but I'm going to double check and make sure. That science, if they only failed like reading and science or math and science, then we'll have to pick up science.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I thought you said that if they were double blocked in anything that the team's reporting would be.
It should be. That's why I want to go in.
Okay.
You don't have access to this maintain student accelerated form yet. So let me look at it and double check and then just make sure. But it
Thank
should
you.
be. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Laura.
How much autonomy do we have on making this spreadsheet our own?
Which spreadsheet are you talking about?
Sorry for
Are
the
you talking
clarification.
about the one that says
14,
hours?
The 1416 one?
All yours.
Okay, so we can put low and high and put in new columns.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, that one we just pulled out a team so that we would have a starting place.
Okay.
And then Wayne put on there what the kids that he has coded and that should be coded in the teams form already are the ones that are in green.
Mhm.
But this one is yours. And, if you have a kid transfer in, this might be the place that you add that kid in so that you can keep track of them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Good question.
Kim, on some of our RLA double blocked, they do language live. So instead of getting like the traditional double block, they have their content piece for one half of it, and then they go to language live later on in the day. Will that count also?
That's the one I need to check on,
Okay.
Jeff, because it's considered dyslexia intervention. And for some reason, I was thinking the rules before said that special ed programs and dyslexia didn't count. I need to go back. Robin is shaking her head. Yes. I need to go back and double check that FAQ to see if it's changed.
But I don't remember seeing it in the recent FAQ, but we'll have to check.
Yeah, we're going to check on that one. And I'll shoot an email out to everybody because elementary had that question too for their kids that are in Read Well, which is the elementary version of, It's reading for our special ed kids, and so tier 3, and so I need to check on that. If I get that will help with my yes, Josie, I'll get you. I need to check with Lane to see if he has an easy list that he probably can cull it down a lot faster than I can. Y'all saw me with technology, so you don't want me culling your list down, but he should be able to get us one. And one question that did come up that y'all might be thinking, because I was thinking it, for the teachers that will find out like in November if they're getting TIA for next year, they don't count. It's got to be the teachers they're currently enrolled in right now. So I was hoping we could add some additional teachers to that list later, but we can't. And the FAQ explicitly says that. So there's a lot of things that I ask for forgiveness on, but I can't ask forgiveness on that one. So. All right. Aaron, you put a reminder about fundies in the chat for me. What is that?
That was a reminder, to check on the special programming to see if
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
So just a reminder.
Fundies, it sounds like it should be a candy. Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, I will definitely check on that, and I will shoot y'all an email as soon as we find out on it. So, all right, guys, if y'all don't have anything else, y'all know where to find us. Please holler, and you'll hear from me soon. Thank you.